Bismillah. Okay, before we begin, first and foremost, Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Allahumma aghfir lana wa li walidina wa li mashaykhina wa li jami'il muslimina ajma'een. I hope inshallah you're all well and in good health. Who can remember what we covered last lesson? Who's been revising, Ikhwani? Why has it gone silent? The whole room has gone silent. What did we cover the last lesson? When we spoke about manhood and extravagance, not being extravagant with regards to the way one is living, not letting the dunya distract them. What did we cover? Ikhwani, that's a question, by the way. I'm asking you all a question. What did we cover last lesson? What were the benefits that we took from last lesson? وإلا أغلقنا الكتاب وخلاص السلام عليكم.
مو اليوم شيخ، اليوم أول يوم يعني some relief for us.
No problem. Look in the book. Look in the book. Okay, just from the what benefits did you remember from last lesson? Anyone? Any benefits from the fawaid that we took from the last lesson? The voice is very low. I can't hear.
One of the benefits we covered is Umar ibn Khattab. He said that roughen yourselves and toughen yourselves.
Barakallahu fikum. Ahsant. Anything else? Anyone? Pass the mic on. Anyone?
Another benefit that we learned was to leave off the luxuries of the dunya and to beware of excessive comfort and beware of imitating the Westerners.
Barakallahu. What did we cover from the benefits of leaving off the luxuries of the dunya? What did we mention? If you don't remember, what is the benefit? When someone leaves off the luxuries of the dunya, we said something. Do you remember?
Having too much comfort can lead to destruction of the deen.
Barakallahu fikum. And also, أكثر يعني أهل الجنة من هم? Who are the most inhabitants of Jannah?
The poor people.
Barakallahu fikum. What was the reason? Why are they the most inhabitants of Jannah?
Because their accountability is less.
Barakallahu fikum. Yani they don't care for the dunya, they don't make the dunya distract them in the sole purpose of why they're created. What's the sole purpose why we're created, Habibi? What's the proof from the Quran?
وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون.
Barakallahu fikum. Barakallahu fikum. So that's we mentioned that, and we said that of course if anyone has anything on the dunya, you should try your best to be successful, to earn a living and whatever. Don't let that be a means of you not earning a living, because of course you should as a Muslim. We mentioned as well that maybe some people get the wrong interpretation of when the ulama they speak about this. No, from the likes of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Uthman, and so many of the Sahaba, they were tujjar, and they had businesses, they had the means of wealth and income, but it did not distract them from the dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jalla, from the sole purpose of why they're created. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Everything you did على هذا. Always bear that in mind, Ikhwani, that whatever you do should circulate around the sole purpose of why you're created. Is it benefiting you in the akhirah and what have you? طيب, let's carry on inshallah. Point number 11. Point number 11. Who can read the English version, please?
Can you read it?
Yeah, please. Anyone?
Yes, to avoid gathering of vain speech, do not stand on the carpet of those who carry out detestable acts at the place of gatherings and tear the veil of morality and pretending to be unaware of your actions. And if you do, then your crime against knowledge and its people is a grave one.
Barakallahu fikum. So here the Shaykh says, if you do, then your crime عن العلم and its people is great. Why? Because the whole intent of the Shaykhuna Shaykh Uthaymeen, he explains this, Ikhwani. He says that when you are around gatherings of people, then what it should be is a gathering that is, you're not wasting time. You're not talking about things that don't concern you, that don't benefit you. Because wallahi, these are the gatherings, Ikhwani, and we know, okay, that the majalis, that Allah's name is not mentioned, is not a majlis that's khair for you. So therefore, you shouldn't be in that gathering. It's no problem to sit with one another, with your friends and your peers, and to, you know, sit back and relax and to have a good time. But as long as they're not gatherings where you're talking about things that don't benefit you, you're talking about ghiba and namima, all of these stuff, you should try your best to not be in those gatherings. Because even if you don't agree with what's happening in those gatherings, but if you're talking about others, ikhwani, in those gatherings, specifically that topic, wallahi, ikhwani, wallahi, ikhwani, yani, we should know something where the Prophet ﷺ says, إذا صلح يعني إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله ألا وهي القلب. يعني this is something that you should try your best to always try and restore and to cleanse your heart. None of us is not perfect, ikhwani, but what helps, wallahi al-azim, what helps is this bab specifically that we're on. It's a very important bab. It's the bab where the Prophet ﷺ says المرء على دين خليله فلينظر أحدكم من يخالف. Okay? الصاحب الصاحب, يعني you should know that the Prophet ﷺ said in authentic narration that each and every single person is upon the religion of their companion. So therefore you should look towards whom you sit with, whom you accompany yourself with. And these goes back down to your gatherings. Of course, your gathering is going to be around people that you befriend, those that you look up to or you respect, or you have something in common. So therefore, if those gatherings are gatherings where your heart is not being cleansed, then the gatherings are not going to benefit you. And that's the bad. Meaning, if you're in a gathering where Allah's name is not mentioned, people are talking about others, then it means you agree with it. Otherwise, get up from that gathering and leave it. Even if it means that you're going to lose friends upon that journey, ikhwan. SubhanAllah, ba'd al-ulama yadhkurun, some of the scholars, they mention that it could be so that you don't have a friend that is a righteous friend, a correct friend for you. Yeah, you meaning that one that you always accompany with. It could be the case where you have to let go of some friends. But if it's for the sake of the Allah Azza wa Jal, ma kana lillah dama wattasal. Whatever is for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal is always going to remain. And it's always going to carry on. وَمَا كَانَ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ انْقَطَعَ وَانْفَصَلَ. That which is not for the sake of Allah, eventually is going to what? It's going to come to a discord. It's going to break. It's going to stop. So therefore, in terms of the gatherings the Shaykh has mentioned here, specifically when you're trying to acquire knowledge, try your best to make sure that gathering there is benefiting you. Is benefiting you. Read it again, please, from the beginning.
Beginning. Do not stand on the carpets of those who carry out detestable acts at their place of gathering, and there the ending to be unaware of your actions. And if you do, then your crime against knowledge and its people is a grave one.
So look what the Shaykh says here, ikhwani, Shaykh Uthaymeen, that is. Write this down, ikhwani. He says here, i.e. إظهارا للزهد, meaning a person tries to make sure they're zahid. Okay? They try to put that forward. بل الإنسان مأمور أن يدفع الغيبة عن نفسه. Okay, so a person is trying the utmost best, okay, to take and to deflect ghiba, i.e. talking about others, from himself. You should not try to be from those that talk about others. وَرَحِمَ اللَّهُ, Allah Azza wa Jal has mercy, إِمْرَأً كَفَّ الْغِيبَ عن نفسه. كَفَّ الْغِيبَةَ عن نفسه. يعني meaning, Allah will have mercy upon the person that tries their best to, when you make kaf of something, it's like you completely try to disconnect it to yourself. You're literally taking it apart and taking it away from yourself, meaning you try your best to be from those that what? That does not entertain backbiting. It's one of the gravest things that one person can do. What's the ayah, ikhwan, in Surah Al-Hujurat? About ghiba.
أيحب أحدكم أن تأكل لحم أخيه ميتا فكرهتموه.
أحدكم أن يأكل لحم أخيه ميتا فكرهتموه. Therefore, you should hate it. So that's why you should always bear that in mind, ikhwani, to not be from those that partakes in this. Okay, the Shaykh says here, al-i'radu an majalis al-lagw. Okay, to try your best to stay away from those majalis where it's idle talk. Okay, the Shaykh said there's two types of idle talk. Meaning the idle talk that has no fa'idah, and also it doesn't harm. So this is the first category. Meaning you're in a place, a gathering, people are talking about things that is not of benefit, but also it's not harmful, it's not haram. And then the other one is that there is idle talk in that which consists of harm. Okay? أما الأول, the Sheikh, as for the first one, i.e. the idle talk that does not consist harm and no benefit, okay, فلا ينبغي للعاقل. It does not, it shouldn't be, it's not befitting for a person that has some sort of mind, sense, meaning, i.e. and someone is aqil, someone that has some sort of intellect. It does not make sense for them to go to this and to waste their time. يذهب وقته فيه, meaning their time is wasted in these gatherings where there's no dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal, but at the same time there's no sense of harm. Meaning it's of no benefit, but at the same time it doesn't cause harm. Why? Because khasara. Can you hear me, by the way, Ikhwani? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Little.
Is this better? When I talk like this, is this better?
Yeah, this is better.
This is better.
Can you put it on
Caller.
Okay. Is this better?
Yes.
Better.
Okay.
Yes.
So I was
better.
saying there are two types, okay? There are two types. Let me put it up a bit more. So there are two types, Ikhwani. The first one is idle talk that doesn't cause harm, nor does it bring about any benefit. The Sheikh says that as for the first one, this type, then it shouldn't be for a person that has intellect to go to such places, especially a student of knowledge. Why? Because it is a means of them wasting their time, i.e. they waste their time. They waste their time. As for the second type, it is haram for you to go to such benefits where ghiba is taken part, namima, talking about other people's honors. And ikhwani, wallahi, when you think about it, most of the people, it's easy for them to talk. It's very easy upon a person to talk, but it's difficult for you to keep quiet and to do actions. And many of the Salaf, they would say that some of the Salaf that came before us, كانوا قليل الكلام. They used to be from those that were small in terms of what? Uttering. Them speaking or uttering was very, very limited. They wouldn't indulge in speaking and uttering, but they were كثير الأعمال. They used to put forth so many good deeds. وهذا هو الفرق بينهم وبيننا. والله العظيم إخواني. May Allah Azza wa Jal aid us in doing good deeds and speaking little. Because this is the key. When a mu'min knows, and this is how a mu'min should be fatin, that they should know what they're saying before they say, يفكر قبل أن يتكلم. And this is the hal, it should be for me and everyone else. Because this is how the Salaf were. And that's why نجحوا. Okay, they succeed in a lot of things. Because they used to know that the hadith, what's the hadith? Who can remind us of the hadith? من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر
فليكن خيرا
That's it. Whoever believes in Allah on the last day, then let them say something of good or keep quiet. So therefore, the gathering that you're in, if you're not reminded of Allah Azza wa Jal, if you're not speaking about something of benefit, whether it's business or something to do with the akhirah, something, then why are you in that gathering if you know that someone else's honor is being spoken about and you're not making inkar of it? Okay? So therefore, think before you go to a gathering. Is this gathering of benefit or it's not of benefit? It doesn't mean you're going to be in a gathering, every single gathering you're going to be reading Quran. No, it just means that you're in a gathering where it's salama. Okay, it's free from any sort of haram. It's free from any sort of haram. And then the Shaykh, he said that with regards to this, then we know that it is haram to be in a gathering where much harm is being put forth. People's honor has been people's honor has been, more or less, someone's honor has been tarnished, and so on and so forth. What's the ayah? The ayah, the Shaykh, he brings here the ayah. وقد نزل عليكم في الكتاب أن إذا سمعتم آيات الله يكفر بها ويستهزأ بها فلا تقعدوا معهم حتى يخوضوا في حديث غيره إنكم إذن مثلهم. And this ayah is beautiful, ikhwani. To know the Sheikh Thamin is bringing this ayah to explain this specific principle where it says, and it has already been revealed to you in a book, i.e. this Quran, that when you hear the verse of Allah being denied and mocked at, then sit not with them until they engage in a talk other than that. But if you stayed with them, i.e. meaning in that gathering, and this is a gathering where the Quran is being mentioned, but it's been mocked. Okay? It's been mocked. then if you stay with them, certainly in that case, you will be like them. You will be like them. So therefore, this ayah, the Shaykh used it to explain that if you're in a gathering where there's no benefit and people's honor is being tarnished and so on and so forth, ghiba, backbiting, slandering, then it means you have approved of this specific gathering. Just like the bab that we take, for those that have taken it in terms of, in Sahih al-Bukhari, in terms of fiqh and what it talks about, the majalis, or the gathering, the tawila, the table where khamr has been people are drinking khamr. If you're there in that gathering and khamr has been, you're in the table, you're in the gathering, the room, it means you've approved of it. So therefore, don't sit in such gatherings. Don't sit in such gatherings. And ikhwani, a principle as well to know that if yourself, you know you're weak and you don't have the courage to make inkar with hikmah, meaning to stop something, okay? When you refute something with hikmah, with wisdom, meaning you try to advise the person to not do it. Okay, as we know the hadith, that the one that sees something, فَلْيُغَيِّرْهُ, okay, بِالْيَدْ وَإِنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ بِلِسَانِهِ وَإِنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ, meaning to hate it in the qalb. وَهَذَا أَدْنَى الْإِيمَانِ. Okay, if you're not able to change this specific haram or the backbiting, slandering, if you know you're weak, then why put yourself to a test to go to that gathering? Maybe it could be so that you go to the gathering because they're your friends. You just want to sit with them and chill with them and what have you. But then the first day comes, second day, third day, and they're still backbiting someone, talking about this person, that sheikh, and this mistake, and this and that. You're in that gathering, and then you're there because they're your friends. What happens eventually? You become immune to it. You become immune to that specific thing which is haram, like slandering and backbiting. And then it becomes something that you're comfortable, second nature. Then you start to partake in it. Yeah, you know what? SubhanAllah, it's true what you're saying, and then you start to partake in it. So therefore, if you know you're not able to stop it, don't be in that gathering at all. Don't be in that gathering at all. And the Shaykh, he brings it. He said that some people, anyway, we'll go back to read the next one, Akhi. Read the next point. So here the Shaykh in the end, he ends this specific bab, this chapter, and says that فَإِن لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ فَبِقَلْبِهِ, which is the hadith of Muslim that we mentioned, meaning that's how it should be, that if you're not able to stop the actual munkar, then don't go there in the first place.
Shaykh, which surah is that ayah from?
Which one? وَقَدْ نَزَّلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الْكِتَابِ.
Yes.
Surah An-Nisa, verse 140.
Jazakallah khair.
I mean,
140.
140.
140, right?
yeah, 140, yeah. The next one.
12th? Yes,
Yeah.
okay. Avoid commotion. Protect yourself from indulging in riotous and clamorous behaviors. For indeed, mistake lies behind clamor, and it opposes the etiquette of seeking knowledge.
So the Shaykh here, for those that, with regards to the ayah, there's a point of benefit. Ibn Kathir, he mentions, and he states regarding this specific ayah, explaining it, that it talks about those that are in a gathering. He brings the hadith, okay? من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فلا يجلس على مائدة يدار عليها الخمر. That whoever believes in Allah on the last day, then they shouldn't sit on a table where khamr is being taken, and they're circulating it around and it's being drunk. So that hadith here, it's an authentic hadith. It's also explaining this specific topic that we're talking about regarding the gatherings, because it could be just one gathering that changes a person. That's why Prophet ﷺ says, "Al-maru ala dini khalili." It's such a profound hadith. This hadith, ikhwani. It doesn't matter how much iman you have. It doesn't matter how much knowledge you may possess. It doesn't matter what it may be. Al-maru ala dini khalili. Each and every single person is upon the religion of their companion. It doesn't matter what stage you are in your life, but you should always see to it that that's something, that advice that all the people should take on board. That when you are a person, always have someone that is higher than you in iman. That's key. Why? Because if you fall short, he's going to come and drag you up. And that's how the Salaf were. Look, if you look, for example, just look at the seerah, the Prophet ﷺ. He's the Qudwa, okay? Everyone used to look towards him, correct?
Yes.
Okay, then who were his companions? Allah Azza wa Jal selected his companions to be such characters, figures. He had Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, the one that was merciful, but yet he was, when it came to the religion, he was firm. And then you had the likes of Umar ibn Khattab. So they were companions. And if you see the companionship and you read the history, you see how they were. Look at Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, we mentioned example, Ahlul Ridda, the people that, completely didn't believe with regards to the zakat. How firm he was, but yet he was so lean, he was so soft. But when it came to the matters of the deen, he was strong. And look at Umar ibn Khattab, how he was. So once again, when it comes to companionship, they completed each other. So that's how it should be when you select a companion. Who is a righteous friend? Who is a good friend really and truly? Is it the one that benefits you in business and dunya? Or is it the one that benefits you in both? Is it the one that you can trust? You have to have companionship. It's like almost you're selecting someone that's going to be a means of amana. That's how a friend should be. A friend is an amana. Someone that is always going to be there for you. Yes, that's good. They're always going to help you. But at the same time, when it comes to the matters of the deen, they will always advise you. They will always be there. They'll always call you when they don't see you. They'll always, when you're not there in your presence, when they're not in your presence and you're not there and you're away, someone has spoken about you, they're there to defend you. It doesn't matter whether they know what happened or not, they're going to defend you. This was the hal, ikhwani, of the companions. And it doesn't matter who's there, who's not there, but they're there for the sake of Allah. That's why it's important. It says, مَا كَانَ لِلَّهِ دَامَ وَابْتَصَدْ. It has to be companionship built upon sincerity. That's why what are one of the categories of the people that will be shaded on the Day of Judgment, ikhwani?
Loving for the sake of Allah.
Huh?
Loving for the sake of Allah.
Exactly, because their friendship was built upon the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. So that's what, read that again, point number 12.
Yes, protect yourself from indulging in riotous and clamorous behaviors, for indeed mistake lies behind clamor and it opposes the etiquette of seeking knowledge.
Barakallahu fikum. So here in Arabic, hayshat is hayshat meaning being in places like markets. Okay, being in places like markets. That's what it's referring to here. Okay, staying away from these types of places. The reason being, because of the fact that in these places, a lot of mistakes happen, a lot of slandering happens, foul talking, foul language. All of these stuff happen in these places. That's why the Shaykh, he brought this point. He says, these are not places where the students of knowledge should be in. Why? Because these are the things that take away from the muru'ah. You have to understand, ikhwani, that when you go to these places, if it's for a necessity, because the Shaykh, he mentions it here, that when a person goes to these places for the sake of doing what they need to do, their hajat, then of course they go to do their hajat. But for those, there are many people you find they go to these places just for the sake of it, just to have fun. You go to marketplaces where a lot of ikhtilaf is taking place, a lot of things that are not of benefit take place. Of course, you should go there for a purpose. You should go there for a purpose, but not to go there and spend time there, because it takes away your sum'ah. It takes away, if someone sees you in these kind of places and environments, it's not befitting for a person that's acquiring to be a student of knowledge or someone that has respect towards knowledge. They shouldn't be in places where so many things take place, because we know the hadith. What's the hadith regarding these places, specifically the market?
The worst place is market, and the best place is masjid.
Barakallahu fikum. The most beloved places are the masajid. And the ones that are the most hated places to Allah are these markets where the dhikr of Allah is not mentioned, and so many things. And then you see yourself as well, you could do stuff that maybe are not befitting. Okay? So the Shaykh, he said it here, he mentioned Shaykh Uthaymeen, explaining it, he said, a person shouldn't go there to, check on someone. Some people say they're going to go there and give da'wah, and from these places, ikhwani, it could even be places where maybe the famous things that we have specifically in the West, places where Allah's name and the Messenger and the Deen is mocked, and people come and argue and what have you. All of these stuff, ikhwani, is not from the Deen. It's not how the Prophet ﷺ taught the companions. Even if it could be the fact that someone is given da'wah in a place, but rather at the same time, Allah's name is slandered, the Deen is mocked. All of these things, you should see to yourself, where are you really taking yourself? Where are you taking yourself and where are you going? Is this the place of Prophet ﷺ used to be? But rather, in terms of places that person should go to, it should be a place of necessity when it comes to market. If it's a place where, for example, one wants to learn the religion, the places where you learn religion is the masajid, and in centers or in halls and places where people hire out, and the teacher comes and teaches. So you should see yourself that you go to a place because you know that Allah loves this place, loves this place. Okay, then a question, Ikhwani, does that mean one cannot go on holiday and enjoy themselves? Huh? Ikhwani, a
We
question.
can.
Exactly, you can. So once again, we should not understand the statements of the ulama in a wrong understanding. You should always understand what is meant when they make these points. Of course, one can go on holiday. It's halal, it's permissible. But what the Shaykh is referring to, he gave an example, Shaykh Thamin, explaining the kalam of Shaykh Bakr Abu Zayd, rahimahullah, saying that, for example, a person makes it a habit after Asr, every single day they go to the market and they just stay there, doing nothing. This is what it's referring to. This is what is disliked. You go to these places and it becomes a routine, a regular routine. So this is not befitting for a person to do this. The next one, Akhi.
And of the subtle point that comes to mind from what the author of Al-Wasit fi Udab Shinqit and from it in Mujam al-Ma'ajim.
No. Read the next point, point number 13.
Adorn yourself with gentleness. Adhere to being gentle in speech. Avoid harsh words, for gentle speech wins over hostile personalities. And the proof from the Quran and the Sunnah on this topic are abundant.
Barakallah fikum. Adorn yourself with gentleness. Ikhwani, subhanallah. Yani how beautiful of a topic the Shaykh chose, Shaykh Bakr Abu Zayd, rahimahullah. Yani iltazim al-rifq, afwan. To make ilzam and to try your best to be someone that adorns themselves constantly with being gentle. It's something that's very, very important. And the hadith of where the Prophet ﷺ says, Inna Allah rafiqun yuhibbu rifq fil amri kulli. And this hadith is in Bukhari, that verily Allah Azza wa Jalla is gentle and He loves gentleness in all affairs. So even in terms of when you're dealing with the people, first and foremost, it should start with your household, the way you deal with your mother, the way you deal with your father, the way you deal with your wife, the way you deal with your children. It should be upon gentleness. Okay? كَذَلِكَ كُنْتُم مِّن قَبْلِ فَمَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَيْكُمْ. Just yesterday, Ikhwani, you didn't know anything about your deen. Just yesterday, Ikhwani, you weren't someone that was, adhering to the Quran and Sunnah. And then Allah Azza wa Jalla guided you. So why is it that now when you see someone who's not taking the deen seriously, why is it that you're harsh? Why is it you look down upon them? Allah Azza wa Jalla guided you. Ihmad Allah Azza wa Jalla. But at the same time, be gentle. Be kind to one another. The Prophet ﷺ says, Sallimu ala man ta'rif wa ala man lam ta'rif. Okay, ifshu salam bainakum. Give greetings to one another. The ones that you know, the ones that you don't know. How was it that people entered Islam, Ikhwani? We mentioned this before. How did people enter Islam? Through the gentleness of the Messenger ﷺ and how he used to deal with them. The story of the young Jew that became a Muslim on his deathbed because Prophet ﷺ visiting him. All of these stories is not just there for us just to read and that's it, but rather for us to also implement. And then there's also something that we should know, another hadith where the Prophet ﷺ says, مَا كَانَ الرِّفْقُ فِي شَيْءٍ, that gentleness is not going to be found in anything, إِلَّا زَانَهُ, except that it beautifies it and it makes it look amazing. And it aids it. Yani when zina, beautifies it. Anything to do with gentleness is always going to beautify anything else that it touches. That's the meaning here. Okay? وَلَا نُزِعَ مِنْ شَيْءٍ إِلَّا شَانَهُ, and it's not taken away from anything except that it humiliates it. Okay? And it makes it look, it's disfigured and it doesn't look nice. So therefore, even in terms of giving da'wah, Ikhwani, as someone where you try to your best to be, let's put that to a janib, giving da'wah, just generally the way you carry yourself. How are you going to make someone love the Sunnah, love Islam, if you're harsh? Ikhwan, is it possible? It's a question.
No,
I can't hear you, Ikhwan. Is it possible?
no.
Exactly, it's not possible, is it? So therefore, you should try your best to always be gentle.
Gentle.
Always be gentle. Who can tell me what are the benefits of being gentle? I just want to pick from your heads. I want to pick from your brains and see what's the benefits of being gentle. Let's brainstorm with each other.
People will listen to you more. You're gentle.
Barakallah. Point number one, people will listen to you more, okay?
It's a way of dawah towards Islam.
Da'wah towards Islam. What else?
It shows
Anything else?
our good character.
It shows good character. Barakallahu feekum. Anyone else?
People are going to be more receptive to whatever you're saying if you're gentle.
Barakallahu feekum. That's another thing as well. People be more receptive to what you're saying. Why? Because you're gentle. Who can tell me the ayah regarding what Allah Azza wa Jalla when He addressed the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam about gentleness and harshness? What's the ayah?
من الله رحمة لنت لهم.
بما رحمة من الله لنت لهم.
ولو كنت غليظا انفضوا من حولك.
فاعف عنهم واستغفر لهم وشاورهم في الأمر. Look how Allah Azza wa Jalla carries on the ayah. فاعف عنهم واستغفر لهم وشاورهم في الأمر فإذا عزمت فتوكل على الله إن الله يحب المتوكلين. يعني this verse, إخواني, the Prophet ﷺ is being addressed, not us, not me, not you. It's the Prophet ﷺ being addressed. Okay, where Allah says in this verse in Surah Al-Imran, and by the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal, you dealt with them gently. فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ. Okay, you dealt with them gently. And had you been severe, mutashaddid, harsh, what would have happened? They would have broken away and fled from you.
Yes.
That's natural for a person to flee away from someone that's, who's dealing with them in a harsh way. So pass over them, meaning pass over their faults. Ikhwan, that's something that we don't do a lot. No one is perfect. No one is perfect, but rather what you should do, so you should remember yourself. How was I when I was being disobedient to my own parents and I was a naughty child? How was my parents? Think about this, Ikhwani. Wallahi al-Azim, think about this. When you're in the household, of course, everyone is mischief. Everyone is naughty. Every single child. There's not a single child who's an angel, completely good child from the beginning. No, everyone is naughty. When you're 2 years old, you're naughty. They call it trouble twos. When you're 3 years old, for every stage you go through as a child, you give your parents difficulty in trying to raise you. Do your parents kick you out of the house? Do they say to you, get out? Did they stop being your parent? They are gentle. They are patient. Why? Because of the fact that they want good for you. They want guidance for you. They want khair for you. Even if they have no sort of attachment to the deen, they're your parents. Generally speaking, a good parent will be patient with their child. So now you remember that when you're dealing with someone else who, maybe is an older, or, someone that you want guidance for. If you're harsh towards them, they're not going to want to listen to you. So here in this verse, it's mentioned that so pass over their faults and ask Allah Azza wa Jal to forgive them. فَعْفُ عَنْهُمْ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ لَهُمْ. كذا. Ask Allah Azza wa Jal to forgive them, i.e. of their faults and of their shortcomings, and consult them in their affairs. وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ. And then when you have taken a decision, put your trust in Allah Azza wa Jal. Certainly Allah loves those who put their trust in Him. And this as well, once again, Ikhwani, is showing the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when you look towards anything that he used to do, he used to consult his companions. That's also from a sign of humbleness, Ikhwani. That you make mushawara with someone. It's a sign of humbleness. So here, Ikhwani, the Shaykh, he mentioned that this specific bab It's for everyone. If someone is a student or a teacher or a normal person, then they should be kind. They should be kind. Okay, they should be kind. But then the Shaykh mentioned a good point. He said a person should be kind. This is also very important. He says here, لابد أن يكون الإنسان رفيقا من غير ضعف. A person should be kind, but they shouldn't be weak. This is very important, Ikhwani, to note down. You should be kind, you should be gentle, but you shouldn't be weak. I.e. meaning you let everyone walk all over you. This shouldn't be the case. Okay? Meaning you're weak and you don't care what people say and you don't be strong and firm. No, you should be kind, you should be gentle, but at the same time, you shouldn't be weak. So the Shaykh says here, لكن يكون رفيقا في مواضع الرفق. A person should be gentle in the times when gentleness is needed. And this reminds me of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. Kind when kindness is needed. وعنيفا في مواضع العنف. When it's needed to be strong and harsh and firm, someone is firm and strong and harsh. Okay? So this should be the case. And then the Shaykh, he brought the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal. That he says here, وَلَا أَحَدْ أَرْحَمْ عَلَى الْخَلْقِ مِنَ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَ. There's no one that's more merciful upon the creation than Allah the Almighty. هو أرحم الراحمين. And مع ذلك, that with that, to the one that commits adultery, look what Allah says in the Quran. فَجْلِدُوا كُلَّ وَاحِدٍ مِّنْهُمَا مِئَةَ جَلْدَةٍ وَلَا تَأْخُذْكُمْ بِهَا رَأْفَةٌ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ. So this shows you, يعني every single situation, a person needs to be according to the situation. If it's gentleness, then you should be gentle. If you need to be strong and firm, you need to be strong and firm. So Ikhwani, just to end this specific note, and inshallah I think we'll conclude on that due to time, that if a person, the Shaykh gave example, if a person, for example, has a child, when it comes to raising your children, how should you be? Yani with your children, if you're going to be gentle with them in all times, then you're not really raising your children. Just like if you spoil your child, if you spoil your child every single time they want something, you get it for them, you're not really raising your children, you're spoiling them. So you're not giving them actual cultivation. But rather when it's needed to spoil them, you know, to please them, to accept what they want, then it's needed, you do it. When it's time for them to be taught discipline and you need to discipline them, you discipline them. So each and every single instance needs its time, okay? فَلِكُلِّ مَقَامٍ مَقَالٍ. Each and every single time, something is needed, but it's not for all the time, okay? Each and every situation has a specific outcome to it. So therefore, you should bear that in mind, Ikhwani, and you should realize and know that that's what's important for you to realize. And then the Shaykh gave an example with regards to the children. He says here, for example, when it comes to speaking to a child, that a child should be taught discipline inside their household. They should be taught discipline. Okay? And they should be taught how to speak to one another, how to speak to elders, how to respect the elders. Okay? And then the Shaykh, he says here, the hadith of the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam explains this. Murru awladakum bis salah. You know, try your best to encourage your children to pray salah. Okay? وهم أبناء سبع سنين. When they are 7 years old. Yani when they're young. وَضْرِبُوهُمْ عَلَيْهَا وَهُمْ أَبْنَاءُ عَشْرٍ. And يعني discipline them, make it more serious and firm when they reach the age of 10 years old. Okay? وَفَرِّقُوا بَيْنَهُمْ فِي الْمَضَاجِعِ. And also make them, when they reach that certain age, يعني around 10 years old, 7 years old, when they reach that age, 10-ish, then they should be separated in terms of the brothers and the sisters. So the Shaykh says here, it shows you that one should, when it's needed, be gentle. When it's not, when it's needed as well, they are firm upon this thing that is needed for them to be firm upon. So here the Shaykh, he said he bought something else, and this is what we'll end on, inshallah. When Allah says in the Quran, فَقُولُوا لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا لَعَلَّهُ يَتَذَكَّرُ أَوْ يَخْشَى. Who was this referring to? In Surah Taha.
Musa Islam.
and
Post Fir'aun.
Fir'aun. So look at that. Even here is talking about Fir'aun, the biggest tyrant of that time. فَقُولُوا لَهُ قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا لَعَلَّهُ يَتَذَكَّرُ أَوْ يَخْشَى. And hopefully, if you say something with gentleness and kindness, hopefully he will remember and he will fear. I fear Allah Azza wa Jal and know that what he's upon is wrong. When it comes to saying something, ikhwani, al-kalamu al-layyinu, okay, that the gentle speech, يَغْلِبُ الْحَقَّ الْبَيِّن. And this is so true, ikhwani. Write this down because it's so true. Unfortunately, we live in that stage and that day and age. Yani something that it's, when it comes to speech, proficient speech and speech that is, said in a manner that is upon gentleness, with wisdom, even though it's not correct, but it's the statement is done in a gentle way, it's going to overtake the truth. Even if someone says the truth, but they don't say it in a gentle way, then that's what's going to happen. And then the Shaykh explained this. He said, Shaykh Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, he says that meaning, if a person, for example, in his statement, he's got the truth and the truth with him is actually with him. He has the truth and he's upon the truth. However, he doesn't display it in a manner that is befitting, in a gentle manner. Then, unfortunately, the people will run away from him. They won't listen to his truth, what he has to say. Okay? So that's why you should always see to it that when it comes to you saying something, you say it and you conduct yourself in a manner that is beneficent and it's of benefit and it's done upon gentleness. It's done upon gentleness. And inshallah we end on that note بإذن الله تعالى. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.
جزاكم الله خيرا.
بارك الله فيكم إخوان.
Any questions? No questions? Everything clear? I hear the question.
Sheikh, regarding this Surah Nisa 140, the ayah which talks about, can you just repeat that, Sheikh? I have a question on that.
Repeat the ayah.
Yeah, so
Surah Nisa.
Surah Nisa 140.
Okay.
So the question I have is, if you are in a gathering where the religion is mocked and you are still being among them. So the question I have is, my father-in-law is not a Muslim and there is an entire family, they're not a Muslim. And I'm part of a WhatsApp group. And so every day they kind of post the idols and it's kind of like, okay, their festivals, they have this festival often. So me being, I don't indulge in anything, but just being part of the group, does it come under, yeah, this category?
Okay, so the ulama they talk about this with regards to, like, let's say you're attending a place where haram is going to take part, or something that is not upon the shara, or you're in a group, or whatever it means. It's the same context. Let's say, for example, going to a gathering that that some sort of haram could happen. So the ulama, they say you fall under two categories. The first one is if you see a maslaha, okay, there's an opportunity for you to be able to go there and you have the qudra, i.e. you're respected by the people that are organizing the gathering and they will allow you, you're able to go there, give them a reminder, to tell them what they're doing is wrong. You're able to stop that which is haram and with wisdom. Then, of course, going there for that purpose, the ulama, they say this is permissible for that purpose if you're going there, not to just sit there and take part in the haram. However, if you fall under the category, which is the second type, that you're not going to have the capability and you going there and doing that is going to cause more harm, then of course it's better for you not to partake in that specific gathering. So you can look, Akhi al-Kareem, to see which one do you fall under. Will you be in that specific gathering and you're there and you can see, for example, they're saying certain things, about just like a similar example, similar example for those that have non-Muslim family members, and it's Christmas time or Thanksgiving or other sort of celebrations. Of course, for you to go to that specific celebration, it depends now. Because I've actually asked specifics, many scholars regarding this. Like some people, they are forced to go. But is it forced to go where you're going to go, then give da'wah to them and you're able and they're going to accept it from you and there's a maslaha? Can that really happen? If you know that can't, then of course for you is better to not partake in these things. Whether it's a gathering, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's a group on Telegram or social media platform where you have family members that, they want you to be present, you can have your presence physically with your non-Muslim family members. And also you can be in other groups with them without being in that specific group where other things are going to take part. And to be honest, it's all about hikmah. With these things, it's all about wisdom. You can easily take yourself out of that group in a way that's not disrespectful, in a way that's not going to cause any sort of friction between you and your in-laws, in a very, very smart way. But it's just about the way you do it specifically. So you can get yourself out of that predicament and say to them, to be honest, I'm giving you just an example. Let's say I was in a group where I know things are taking place that I'm not able to control. And if I try to stop, then it's going to cause more harm. Then I'll tell them, as much love as I have for all of you and respect, I'm very occupied and busy, and getting a heap of messages all the time is distractful, and it causes problems with my own kids. Sometimes they look into my phone, and you can use these types of methods and then say to them, I would love for us to have another group where maybe we can talk about other things in terms of our gatherings when we're going to meet up. How is everyone? Where other things are not taking part and it's not so many people included in the gathering. Or even better, I would love to meet you all in person every Saturday at this time. So by that, you've not disrespected their religion, for example. You've not disrespected them. And also at the same time, you've shown them respect. But at the same time, you've taken yourself out of a predicament where you're going to be in a group where Allah, for example, is mocked, or the deen, and what have you. So al-hikmah is very, very important, akhi. I hope, inshallah, that's answered your question. Barakallah. Inshallah. Huh?
جزاكم الله
جزاك الله خير شيخ.
بارك الله فيكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.